Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we're going to be talking about a brand new company. The name is MLCL Holdings. They're involved in the MJ space, specifically infused beverages. Now the reason I'm so excited about this company, it fits perfectly with the channel niche, but it's probably the smallest company we've talked about to date on the channel. So this is truly a micro cap, you guys. They're trading under 10 cents per share, and I think there's tremendous opportunity for MLCL moving forward. Now before we get into it, please take a second, hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And let me know in the comment section below if you're currently holding shares of MLCL, if you've heard of this company before, and how you think they stack up to some of the other competitors in the MJ space that we've talked about previously on the channel. Now with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Today's video, we're going to be taking a closer look at a company by the name of MLCL Holdings. Ticker symbol on this one, MLCL on the Canadian Securities Exchange. As mentioned in the intro, this is probably the smallest company we've looked at on the channel, especially in relation to the cannabis industry. We're going to take a deep dive into their business model in today's presentation, but before we get into it, I wanted to take a quick look at the chart here. So this is as of close on November 22nd. A massive day for MLCL. They're up over 27%, which equates to 1.5 cents Canadian to close out the session at 7 cents. Now, based on that close, market cap on this guy, you're looking in the $5 to $6 million Canadian range. So as mentioned, this is a real micro cap company, you guys, and gives you the opportunity to get exposure into the cannabis-infused beverage space, really at the ground floor. Now, if we look at the chart over the past year, you can see back in November of 2020, they were trading right around 8 cents Canadian. They then went on a massive run here, you guys, and actually peaked out at 15 cents right at the start of January of this year. And since then, they have been on a pretty steady decline, which we've seen industry-wide here, especially in small cap players in the cannabis space. Now that being said, I definitely think, based on what you're going to see in today's presentation, MLCL has a very unique business model and investor proposition. Now for full disclosure, I'm not currently invested in this company, but based on current share prices and what I've gathered in today's investigation or presentation, I definitely think MLCL is worth a closer look. And this is one that I've added to the top of my watch list. Again, for those of you who follow this channel closely, I'm a big advocate of the cannabis space here in Canada, and I think MLCL really does have a great value proposition, especially compared to some of the bigger players we've talked about or discussed on this channel. So in terms of video format here, we're going to jump over to the MLCL website, which you can see in front of you right now. We're going to take a look at a couple different items on the website, talk about some of the big articles that have come out for the infused beverage industry overall. Then we're going to take a look at the investor presentation, which is hot off the press here. And then finally talk about some of their revenue and look at their CEDR filing. So as mentioned, this is a very small company, you guys, and the format of the video is going to reflect that. So if you scroll down on the landing page here on MLCL website, you'll see that they're really focused on being an on-ramp or an entry point to the Canadian cannabis beverage market. So they're helping other companies or customers really gain exposure into this growing or blossoming segment within the greater cannabis market. We help craft beverage partners formulate high-quality, award-winning products which are packaged and infused at our cannabis production campus, which is strategically located in Eastern Ontario's Thousand Island region. So very close to major highways here, you guys, and the US border, which sets up MLCL perfectly for expansion down the road. Now, a couple pillars that the MLCL team calls out here, we're going to spend a little bit of time on. This is really a one-stop shop here, you guys, from start to finish if you're looking to get beverages made that are infused with THC or CBD. So number one is the formulation. We're going to talk about the team that MLCL's put together. Very experienced track record here and a ton of experience making high quality beverages that have received a number of different awards and accolades. So number one is the formulation, gold medal winning formulation. The team is some of the top in the world, again, which we're going to look at in detail in the investor presentation. We work directly through all stages from the client idea creation to the product development, market validation, and packaging design. So they really help these customers from inception, come up with the concept, think through the process, the branding, the look, the feel of the product, all the way to production and distribution. Now the next pillar they call out here is actually in relation to the actual infusion of the product itself. We're going to take a look at their production facility and talk about some of the details that set this facility apart from some of the competitors in this space. Obviously, in this type of industry, you guys, whether we're talking about beverages, dried flower, pre-rolls, whatever the case is, regulation is first and foremost here. So as they mentioned, we've got you covered. They understand the regulatory risks and hurdles, and they're looking to stay on top of these regulations as they evolve at both a provincial and federal level, along with international opportunities. So again, I mentioned they're very close in proximity to the US border. Obviously, that's a huge opportunity here for North American expansion, and the team at MLCL is going to adapt their production and distribution models based on these evolving regulatory environments and conditions. Now, in terms of production, again, we're going to look at some pictures of the facility, but it's custom built here, and the goal at MLCL is really to eliminate the capital expenditures or CapEx, so the customer can really focus on the branding, marketing, sales of the beverage or product without worrying about some of the back end or overhead costs. So we're going to talk about that again in more detail here and show some pictures of the production facility. But a big way that MLCL has really tried to market their brand and set themselves apart from some of the other operators in this space. And then the final point here, which is distribution, which we've talked about or touched on briefly. So a couple hundred meters from the 401, which is one of the biggest highways here in Canada, and only a stone's throw away from the actual US border. Now the site they chose was strategic in the sense that it's perfectly centered between Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa, which are three of Canada's biggest urban areas or cities. And what that really does is give them access to three of the largest fully legal cannabis markets in the world right now. And then looking out a little bit further in terms of international expansion opportunities and distribution, they are located very close to the Port of Montreal, which gives them opportunities to ship this stuff globally if and when the opportunity presents itself. Now, with that being said, before we get into some of the big news articles related to the cannabis or infused beverage industry and move into the investor presentation, I did want to spend a couple of seconds on the MLCL facility because I think this is very important as a manufacturing or production type of company, because we need to understand what's being offered to potential customers or clients of MLCL. So as mentioned, it's located in the Thousand Islands region of Eastern Ontario. There's 4 acres at the facility, which equates to about 200,000 square feet. This is secure, licensed perimeter. It has video monitoring 24/7 as per Health Canada requirements, so similar to what we've seen with a lot of the other LP or cultivation facilities. And in terms of what's offered at this location, we'll take a quick run through here. So if you scroll down, they've got water treatment and filtration, obviously very important for any beverage company. So a lot of the things you're going to see here are very similar to breweries or microbreweries. They've got inline flavor dosing, first pass filtration and chiller tanks. So again, very similar to what you're going to see in the alcohol, cider, or brewing industry. Then you've got a series of additional steps here. So gas management systems, absolute filtration, dosing and pasteurization, and then finally the canning and packaging. Now the reason I wanted to show all these individual steps is not to confuse anyone, not to overload the video, but rather so everybody watching this video understands the complexity and how difficult it is to set up one of these facilities in order to create world-class, safe, and regulated cannabis-infused beverages. So this is not something that you can just set up in a couple of weeks or off the side of your desk here, you guys. This is a full investment by MLCL to build a world-class facility. They've got a production rate here of about 3,000 cans per hour, so regular 355 milliliter cans. So the production capability here, again, keeping in mind this is a safe, regulated, and meticulously clean facility, is quite impressive. On top of all of that, they've also got the canning and packaging here. So you can see, again, that 3,000 cans per hour. All the labeling is done in-house, and then they're actually stacked and put on pallets that are stored on site in the licensed and secure temperature-controlled storage facility. So again, end-to-end production here, you guys, so that the finished product is able to be directly loaded up onto a truck or train or boat or whatever the case is and make its way directly to consumers. So now that we have a general understanding of what the MLCL business model is about and what the facility or production capabilities of this company are, I wanted to pause for a second and actually look at the cannabis beverage market or space overall, because I personally am super bullish on this category. As you guys know, I'm an investor in the Valence company. They've also got a play going with infused beverages, and this is one of the biggest growth opportunities that I see in the entire cannabis sector. Now, we're going to see in the investor presentation a few of the reasons why the beverage space is poised for such big growth, but I wanted to look at these two articles because the numbers really do speak for themselves here. So this came out January 2020 from Grand View Research, talking about the total cannabis beverage market, which they're expecting to be worth $2.8 billion by 2025, with a compound annual growth rate of just under 18%. Now you can see in the article, the market is highly fragmented in nature. There's several small and medium scale companies at play here, which we're going to look at some of the competitors later in today's presentation. The majority of these companies are based in Canada due to the current regulatory or legislative landscape. And the other thing I wanted to call out here, the rising popularity of wellness drinks is also expected to support demand over the forecasted period. As a result, many alcohol manufacturers are investing in the growing trend of marijuana or cannabis-infused drinks. For instance, and probably the most notable partnership in this space, you guys, was Constellation Brands with Canopy Growth. So we're going to talk about some of the big players in this space, as well as some of the small or medium-scale companies. But the industry overall, specifically cannabis-infused beverages, has received a ton of attention. There's a lot of money flowing here and a lot of eyeballs on what this market is going to do over the next couple of years. So again, in relation to MLCL, a very exciting space to operate within the cannabis industry. Now this article is a little bit more recent. It came out March 1st, 2021. Talks about cannabis-infused beverage sales being up 40%, helped by consumers seeking convenient products. So convenience is definitely one of the reasons this product category is taking off. There's a number of other ones we're going to look at. One thing called out in this article, so cannabis beverage companies, for example, have been cashing in on health-related trends, such as dry January, where people take time off alcoholic drinks. Maybe they're looking for alternatives. They're also seen as a lot more user-friendly. There's not smoke, there's not smell related. It's very quick, it's very easy and discreet for consumers to ingest either THC or CBD products. And that's a perfect segue into our first slide in the investor presentation. So consumers are looking for an alternative and more healthy way to ingest cannabis. One of the main barriers to enjoying cannabis right now is the smell, which we talked about, and the smoke. 74% of people surveyed don't actually like the lingering odor of cannabis flower. So that's, in addition to convenience, a major selling point for infused beverages. Now, in addition to that, there's elements around dosing and control. So 76% of people who don't consume cannabis cited that as the main reason. When you smoke or inhale this stuff, you can't control how strong the effects are going to be. And then in addition to that, people who are connoisseurs of cannabis just want to try out new products and new formats. So there's a number of different motivations or reasons why drinks or beverages are taking off and seeing that massive growth. But these are some of the most common that are cited from clients or potential clients of the beverage space. And as a result, cannabis-infused beverages are emerging as the most accessible way for consumption of THC due to the reasons we just identified. So superior functional benefits, portion-controlled doses, ease of administration, and availability. And in addition to that, there's also the wellness or health benefits. So in a lot of cases, cannabis drinks actually have fewer calories than typical beer or alcohol. There's also no hangovers. It's a shorter onset offset type of situation. And for a lot of people who have maybe nighttime rituals like having a tea before bed or something like that, now they can actually have CBD or THC added into that routine and help them achieve better sleep, de-stress, anxiety, and help to manage some of these other concerns that maybe weren't being addressed with their previous beverage choice. So now that we've identified cannabis-infused beverages as a category that a lot of companies want to be involved with, I wanted to identify some of the current challenges that the team at MLCL is trying to overcome or address for their customers. So there's two categories here. There's either producers of existing beverages that want to enter the category, or there's cannabis-based companies that want to get into the beverage category. So in terms of beverage producers wanting to enter, it's a 2 to 3 year process to get proper licensing from Health Canada. So it's a very long time frame in order to enter this space. There's a high cost of entry in terms of resources, equipment, and licensing. We just looked at the facility. Obviously, to set that up costs a significant amount of money. And then there's expenses related to the regulated supply chain and the difficulty associated with just getting your products in stores or on shelves. Now, in terms of the challenges facing cannabis companies wanting to get into the beverage space, there's scarce access and availability to licensed beverage co-packers. So we're going to talk about co-packing later in today's presentation. There's large players with deep pockets that are looking to get into this space. So we just talked about some of those big partnerships with Constellation Brands, Canopy, so it can be hard to break in or differentiate yourself. And because it's such a new industry, there's not a lot of brands that are well established in the drink category. So the return on investment can be a little risky for some of these existing cannabis companies that already have successful products in other categories. So they may be looking for a partnership that again cuts down on the capex associated with entering the beverage space. And that's where the team at MLCL enters the stage here. So speaking of the team, here's the actual beverage creation side of the business. So Rebecca Griffin, who's the chief food scientist, so she's actually created the world's most awarded alcohol-free beer. She's a 2-time gold medalist, 1 silver, and 2 times bronze in terms of the non-alcoholic beer US Open. She's been a Grand Prix winner for the best beverage launched in Canada twice in her career. And she's worked at 30 different companies involved in this space. So a very impressive track record from their food science division. So with that being said, now I wanted to take a look at the actual products that MLCL produces and the way they generate revenue at their company. So number one here, you guys, is create in-house brands. So you can see here, Fresh just launched in summer. We're going to take a look at that in a second. This is one of the brands that they've created in-house. They then manufacture this stuff at their facility and sell it directly to provincial retailers. So you can see the Ontario Cannabis Store, BC Cannabis Store. They've currently got 3 products on shelves right now. They have no overhead from large corporate owners. This is all manufactured, created, packaged in-house here. And that's one of the ways that they can actually create revenue at MLCL. So as mentioned, there's currently 3 in-house or proprietary brands: Klon, Sofa, and Fresh, ranging in price, flavor, and functionality. So the mix of THC versus CBD. Now, in addition to those in-house or proprietary brands, they also have agreements and partnerships with other cannabis companies here in Canada. And that's what we talked about at the start of the video here. So companies will approach MLCL, they'll come up with a concept, and MLCL will take care of everything from start to finish in terms of the creation, the formulation, the packaging, and branding through these multi-year contracts. So they currently have 3 craft brands signed as of Q2 of this year. These are exclusive national contracts with a minimum duration of 3 years. They all have exit clauses written into the contract. So that's either going to provide additional term for MLCL or a significant payout or termination fee if these clients decide to end that contract early. So they've got some stability there. And what's interesting is they actually have performance warrants written into the agreement. So MLCL can actually benefit as these brands or products experience growth and increased demand. So again, you can see a range of different price points, flavor profiles, and functionalities to meet different segments of the market. Now, speaking of revenue, if we jump over to Cedar here and we take a look at their most recent financial statements, this is for the 3 and 9 month period ending July 31st. I wanted to give a quick point of reference here in terms of revenue. Again, this is a small upcoming company here, you guys, but they're already generating in the last quarter alone, so the 3 months ending July 31st, about $282,000. This is in Canadian dollars of revenue from the sale of goods. So that's going to be a mix of obviously the in-house brands and some of these agreements or partnerships. Now for the 9-month period, they're sitting at 351,000. So you can see how they're really starting to ramp up their sales or revenue as the year progresses here. And a big part of that is the addition of new products to the market. So this article came out June 3rd. This talks about the Fresh brand being picked up by the Ontario Cannabis Store. And as you can see in this press release here, you guys, this is now the 6th brand accepted and sold by the OCS on behalf of MLCL. So again, 3 in-house or proprietary products or SKUs and 3 partner SKUs. So with that being said, I wanted to end out the video here by comparing MLCL to some of the other competitors in this space. So you can see these are relatively small or medium-sized companies, but if you look at the market cap here, you guys, MLCL is listed as 10 million. Again, based on their fully diluted share count of about 100 million shares, they're really in the range of about $6 million Canadian. They're substantially smaller than any of these other competitors. So Peak's coming in at about 120, Bevcanna 76, the Valens company, which we've talked about, closer to 350, $400 million. All of these competitors offer co-pack white label agreements. Again, they've got facilities spread throughout Canada here, so some in BC, some in Ontario. The Valens company actually is just finishing their GTA facility. But what I really like about MLCL is they've already got in-house proprietary brands on store shelves. They've got partner agreements in place and again on shelves, and you're getting in at the ground floor here, you guys. So obviously this space within the cannabis industry is going to see a ton of attention and growth over the next couple of years, and MLCL gives you the opportunity to invest at the ground floor in an up-and-coming company that already has their facility built out and agreements in place and are generating revenue. So for those reasons, you guys, I definitely think MLCL deserves a look and should be added to your watch list if you're looking for exposure in this space. As mentioned, they're a fully integrated value chain producer with low cost to operate. They're one of a few select licensed producers offering white label co-packing in Canada. And again, they're one of the smallest plays with the biggest upside potential. They're one of the first to capture sizable shelf space here in Canada, whether you're talking their proprietary in-house brands or their partner brands. And they've got that award-winning beverage creation team behind them. So for those reasons, super excited about this company. This is one I'm going to continue to follow on the channel. For full disclosure, again, I'm currently not invested in MLCL, but this is one that's on the top of my watch list, you guys. You know I love the cannabis space, specifically these CPG, beverage, and cannabis 2.0 type of plays. And with that being said, I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are on MLCL. So feel free to leave a comment in the section below. If you're still watching at this point, hopefully you found some value in this video, so make sure you hit the like button on your way out. And if you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. That's all for now. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.